Why silence is their worst nightmare. 10 dark rules to break dirty players. Someone betrayed you. Maybe they did it publicly. Maybe they did it quietly. Maybe they smiled at you the entire time. And right now, every instinct you have is telling you the same thing. React. Defend yourself. Explain your side. Show them they cannot do this to you. And every single one of those instincts is wrong. Not morally wrong. Strategically wrong. Because the moment you react, you have already lost. Not because reacting is weak. Because reacting is exactly what they built the trap to produce. They did not attack you because they are stronger than you. They attacked you because they calculated that you would respond emotionally. An emotional response is the only thing that makes them safe. Stop making them safe. What you are about to hear is not advice about forgiveness. It is not advice about being the bigger person. It is not the comfortable guidance of someone who has never been genuinely betrayed. This is a set of cold, precise, field-tested principles drawn from the oldest tradition in the study of power. The tradition that says, the player who controls themselves controls everything. 10 rules. In the order they must be applied. For the person who has decided that this will never happen again. The Prince's Doctrine. There is a myth that you were taught so early and so consistently that it feels like reality. The myth is this. If you behave fairly, the world will treat you fairly. If you are honest, honesty will be returned to you. If you are loyal, loyalty will be your reward. This is not a spiritual error. It is a strategic one. And it costs people everything. Machiavelli understood something that 500 years of sanitized education has tried to erase. High-stakes social environments do not reward fairness. They reward the appearance of fairness while punishing those naive enough to practice it unconditionally. The prince who trusts every ally equally ends up with a knife in his back and no throne. The person who believes the social contract will protect them in a room full of dirty players ends up isolated, discredited, and confused about how it happened so fast. Here is the reality. There are 2 categories of people in every competitive social structure. Those who understand that power is a game with invisible rules. And those who believe power should not be a game at all. The first group runs the room. The second group gets managed by the first. You are here because someone from the first group came for you. And now you need to decide. Do you want to be right about how the world should work? Or do you want to win in the world as it actually is? These are 10 rules for winning. Apply them in sequence. Apply them without emotion. Apply them completely. Section 1. The Ghost Protocol. Internal Defense. Rule 1. Strategic non-reaction. Every reaction you give them is reconnaissance data. Read that again. When someone attacks you and you respond, you are not defending yourself. You are conducting a survey on their behalf. You are showing them which weapons land. You are showing them what you value enough to protect. You are showing them where the limits of your composure are. You are giving them a complete map of your emotional interior. And they will use that map. Every time. A dirty player does not attack you randomly. They probe. They say something slightly off, slightly cutting, slightly dismissive. And they watch. If you flinch, they now know which direction to apply pressure. If you get defensive, they now know which accusation is closest to your real insecurity. If you get angry, they now know exactly how much force it takes to destabilize you. Your reaction is not a response to their attack. Your reaction is the attack working. The principle of strategic non-reaction does not mean you feel nothing. It means you reveal nothing. There is a specific face that you need to practice. Not a smile. Not a blank stare. A face of mild, clinical interest. The face of someone watching something slightly curious from a distance. Not threatened. Not angry. Not amused. Interested. The way a surgeon looks at a wound. The way a chess player looks at an opponent's opening move. Gathering information. Planning a response that will arrive much later. On your timeline. Not theirs. When they attack and you give them that face, something shifts. Because they built the attack around the assumption of reaction. Without reaction, the attack has no landing point. It hangs in the air. And the silence that follows is not empty. It is loud. With the sound of their miscalculation. Every reaction is reconnaissance data for the enemy. Give them nothing to map. Rule 2. The silence vacuum. Silence is not the absence of power. Silence is the most concentrated form of power available to a human being in a social conflict. And almost nobody uses it correctly. Here is why silence works against a dirty player at a level that no verbal response can match. When you speak, you give them something to respond to. You give them a surface. A position to attack, to distort, to misquote, to use against you later. Every word you say in defense is a brick they can use to build the wall around you. When you say nothing, they have nothing. And the human mind, when it is given nothing, creates something. The dirty player who attacked you and received no visible reaction does not conclude that you are fine with it. They conclude that something is happening beneath the surface that they cannot see. And that uncertainty is more destabilizing than any argument you could make. Silence creates uncertainty and destabilizes the aggressor. Let them destabilize themselves. Rule 3. Master the frame. Every social conflict is not about facts. It is about frames. A frame is the invisible structure that determines how facts are interpreted. The same action, placed in two different frames, becomes two completely different things. The person who controls the frame controls the reality of the situation. Stop defending. Start redefining the reality. The person who explains themselves is the one who loses. Rule 4. Insecurity mapping. Every dirty player has a wound. A specific, structural vulnerability in their self-concept. Something they are overcompensating for. Something that their aggressive behavior is designed to protect, to obscure, or to deny. Watch what they attack most consistently. The attack is almost always a projection of the fear. Study the map. Hold that knowledge. Quietly. For now. Rule 5. Starving the supply. This rule is perhaps the most underestimated of all 10. Because it requires no confrontation. No visible action. No words at all. Every aggressor in a social environment is running on fuel. Your attention. Your reaction. Your emotional response. Your acknowledgement that they exist as a significant force in your world. Remove that. Not dramatically. Not as a statement. Quietly. Systematically. Cut off their access to attention, status, and information. Watch them overheat on their own. Rule 6. Reputation contrast. You do not need to destroy their reputation. You need to build yours with such consistency that the contrast does the work for you. When they escalate and you are still. When they destabilize and you are measured. When they perform and you simply exist. Use your stillness to make their agitation look like what it is. The behavior of someone who is not in control. Rule 7. The cold presence. There is a specific quality of attention that unsettles people at a level below conscious thought. It is not aggression. It is not warmth. It is total, unblinking, completely composed presence. The presence of someone who has already decided. I see you completely. And I am not afraid of what I see. Silence and composure are the faces of someone who has moved beyond reaction into execution. Rule 8. Invisible counterattacks. The invisible counterattack leaves no fingerprints. No obvious cause and effect. No moment where you can be accused of retaliation. Just a gradual rearrangement of the environment around them. Until they fall. And from the outside, it looks like their own decisions brought them down. Rearrange the structure around them. Let them fall by accident. The best counterattack is the one they never see coming. Because it does not look like an attack at all. Rule 9. Strategic cruelty. Cruelty without strategy is simply revenge. And revenge is emotional. And emotion is the trap we identified in Rule 1. Strategic cruelty is something different. It is the deliberate, measured, permanent establishment of a cost for having made you a target. Not punishment. Not anger. A lesson. Ensure there is a permanent cost to their betrayal. Not so they suffer. So they remember. So they recalculate. Rule 10. No loose ends. If you are going to act. If you have chosen to make a move. Then the move must be complete. Do not draw the sword unless you intend to use it. Do not make a move unless the move is designed to be final. No loose ends. No unresolved positions. No half measures. Win completely. Or wait until you can. The unattainable identity. There is a version of you that does not get targeted. Not because they are feared. Not because they perform strength loudly enough to deter attack. But because they have built something that dirty players cannot find a point of entry to. They do not react. They do not explain themselves. They are not hungry for approval. They do not share unnecessary information. They do not escalate emotionally. Day by day. Choice by choice. Silence by silence. Until the dirty player looks at you. And calculates. And for the first time. Decides to look somewhere else. Become unattainable. While you continue. Undisturbed. In the direction you chose. Before any of this started.